ladies, imagine you take your favorite gel, yes, even that super runny one, and in just 2 hours, you have perfect nail extensions. No filing the underside, no struggling with forms. Sounds like fantasy, but it's real, and I'll prove it to you right now. In this video, I'll share some secret techniques that top nail techs keep quiet about. Why don't they share them? Because these techniques will give you a major advantage, and that's exactly what they're afraid of. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's get started. Today we have such lovely nails. The girl has already done the same naked nail design 3 or 4 times, just changing the main color. But today we have extensions. So first we remove the length with a drill and remove the old coating. We lean on the little finger or ring finger and start removing the coating according to the scheme. If you find it uncomfortable to remove near the side rollers, then turn the finger to the side you need. The first thing we need to do is to perform the removal qualitatively in order to make an even coating without bumps. And if you need to turn the client's hand for this, it's perfectly normal and there's nothing shameful about it. You should work comfortably so that the client gets what they want. When removing the coating, hold the finger with a bottom grip. After removing the main material, we do smoothing with such transverse movements. We do this to even out the surface and thin out the previous coating. This way, there will be much less work with the file. For hard materials, it's better to use a blue or green bit. It will be faster. If you are a beginner master and are not yet sure that you will cope with more coarse burrs, start with a red one. And when you are already confidently holding the handle of the machine and notice it's taking too long, switch to a blue or green burr grit bit. Now we remove the length. Also, watch the finger support so that the burr does not slip. Next, slightly turn the finger to the side and use your middle finger to pull back the right sidewall, allowing the bit to get as close as possible without injuring the client. Hold the bit at a 45-degree angle, remove the angle, and smoothly transition to the central part of the nail. Notice how I change the position of my fingers, holding the client's hand every few movements. You should do the same. Don't just hold in one position and file to the end, but turn the client's finger as needed. We also shift the little finger support for convenience. When you approach the left side with the bit, also pull back the left sidewall using your thumb. Once you've finished the lengthwise removal, we simultaneously pull the left and right lateral folds and do smoothing with such transverse movements and remove the material that was in the cuticle area. Next, we open the pocket. The most common way to do this is with a wooden stick, but you can also do it with a metal stick and a pusher. There is no particular difference here. The main thing is that it is convenient for you and that the pocket is well opened without gluing. It's crucial that the bit doesn't get stuck while working because in areas where the cuticle isn't well opened, the bit can get stuck and cause overfiling. Then, we move on to filing. I use a metal base with interchangeable 180 grit files that stretch over it. This is super convenient because they take up minimal space on the work table, which is important. Since we will be doing extensions, the length needs to be removed completely or left 1 to 2 millimeters so that the bit does not remove it to zero and not traumatize the client. Here's a crucial point. Before removing length with the nail drill, ask the client to turn their hands over and carefully check if there's any overgrown hyponychium under the nails. When removing length with the file, also keep an eye on the growth points to avoid damaging them. It's better to leave 1 to 2 millimeters. It's always safer to underfile than to overfile. Once the free edge is shaped, we move on to surface filing. This step is crucial for smoothing out the surface and lifting the nail plate scales. Whether you're doing nail extensions or just a regular manicure, proper preparation of the nail plate is key to ensuring everything is smooth and that there are no issues when applying forms or tips. The nail plate must be perfectly even and the old coating must be removed to the base so that there is no excessive thickness. After lifted the scales, the nail should be completely matte. There should be no glossy areas, because in the places where we do not remove the gloss, the coating will start to liftings. This often happens in the area of the lateral folds and sinuses. These are the most vulnerable places and they need more attention so that the coating lasts well. But this does not mean that you need to file with a file until you lose your pulse. We do this without strong pressure because with a file you can also easily over-filing. Remember, there's a fine line between a job well done and damaged nails that will need treatment and recovery later on. Now, let's move on to the Efile cuticle work. I'm using a flame-shaped bit with a blue grit, and at 9 to 11 revolutions per minute, we start by working on the left sinus. When using an Efile, it's important to understand that it's not just a drill that simplifies the technician's work. It's a tool that in inexperienced hands can cause serious damage. The first rule is to never apply pressure on the nail blade. The bit has a grit, and if you start pressing, it can create a deep groove that you won't be able to fix, and you'll have to wait for the nail to grow out to do anything about it. The second rule is to regularly brush off the dust so you can see what you're doing. Dust is our biggest enemy in all this. It prevents you from doing a quality manicure, causes the coating to lift, and ruins clean, beautiful photos. So keep removing the dust constantly. Don't forget to buff the side walls. Yes, there's rough skin there too. And if you don't remove it with the bit, the client might start removing at it with their teeth. And you can imagine how that will end. When working, pay attention to the angle of the Efile. It should not lean with the nose into the plate. We're working with the belly of the bit, not the tip. For soft cuticles, a red grit bit is suitable, and for dry and rough cuticles, use a blue one. However, if you have already honed your skills in Efile processing, you can work with the blue bit. Just be careful not to overdo it and avoid overfiling the skin or the nail plate. When it comes to side walls, it's better to use a blue bit since the skin there is much tougher than the cuticle, and a red bit might get clogged. But if the hands are dry, you can work with it just fine. Now, let's cut the cuticle. There are many nuances here as well, but I'm already preparing a detailed video on a combo manicure where we'll go through literally everything, from removal to top coat, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss this video. The main rule when cutting is not to tilt the scissors towards the skin or the plate. They should move parallel to the cuticle and be positioned at a 90-degree angle to the cuticle, not the side wall. We're only cutting the cuticle, that is the semi-transparent skin that will get in the way. Don't try to cut too much until you see capillaries, as this will only cause the cuticle to grow back more and create hangnails. If you notice tiny uncut areas after trimming, it's better to buff them with a silicone carbide polisher than to cut everything down to the blood. After the mechanical prep of the nail plate, we move on to the chemical prep. First, thoroughly dehydrate the plate and apply a dehydrator to remove any excess moisture and further degrease the nails. Then, apply Ultra Bond, which works like double-sided tape on the nail plate and boosts the adhesion of the base coat. However, it's important to apply it with a semi-dry brush without layering it on. Remember the rule, everything is good in moderation. If you apply too much Ultra Bond, lifting is almost guaranteed. Next, we apply the base coat. Remember, you should choose your base based on the condition and type of the nail plate. Apply a thin layer as a foundation for nail extensions or nail strengthening. This base is thick and allows you to apply it to all nails at once without any flows, making it comfortable even for beginners to work with. Apply the base coat evenly across the entire nail plate, carefully coating along the side walls to ensure there are no bare spots. Any areas without a base coat will result in the gel lifting. After applying the base, cure it in the lamp for 1 minute. Now, let's choose the jewel forms. We're going with an arched square shape. These forms have a beautiful arch without a pronounced apex. We remove the tacky layer from the base so that the forms do not get dirty, and it will also be easier to work this way. This is not necessary. And if it is convenient for you, you cannot remove the dispersion. This does not affect the next material, it will not adhere worse or better. We select the form so that the growth points are completely covered. The foam should not be too tight or, even worse, smaller than the nail even by a millimeter. Otherwise, when the material lifts the form, the growth points will be exposed and the nail might break. If you need to choose between a form that fits snugly to the nail size and one that's slightly larger, always go for the slightly larger one. And now I'll show you a method that not many talk about. How to do nail extensions without filing the underside, or how to extend nails with very runny gel. Every tech has that one favorite gel that wears perfectly, but it's impossible to use for extensions with dual forms because it's too liquid. In this case, we apply the gel to the form, leaving a gap near the cuticle area. We tilt the form in advance so that the gel flows to the edge, resulting in the edge being thicker than the area where it joins the nail. This is how it should be. We distribute the gel over the entire form, not forgetting the side walls, to the length we want to achieve in the end, and then cure it in the lamp for 1 minute right in the form. Do the same for the other forms. Apply the gel in a medium layer. Yeah, I tried applying it thinly like you often see on Instagram, but it's not very convenient to apply the forms that way, so go straight for a layer about the thickness of a credit card and tilt the form downward. After curing, remove the sticky layer from the inside of the form and take off our pre-made tips. On one side, they should be thinner and on the other, thicker. This is exactly how they should be. So don't worry, these are essentially DIY gel tips but made from gel instead of plastic. They'll already be the color you want for the design, or you can even create a gradient using this method. Like in my previous video, if you haven't seen it, make sure to check it out. Now we fix our tips using this indispensable helper, a 7-diode LED flashlight with a rechargeable battery. It bends in different directions, which is convenient because it holds its shape however you bend it. We'll attach our tips using the same gel. Apply a thin layer to half of the nail plate, making sure there's gel in the sidewall areas as well. This part is crucial. Now we apply gel to the tip, specifically to the thin side. Place it on the nail and hold it under the flashlight to fix it in place. This takes about 10 seconds. We check the underside and you can see it's clean. Now we cure it in the lamp for 1 minute for full hardening. We don't apply too much gel to prevent it from flowing out, as on this finger, because you'll have to file it off later. Don't worry that the gel won't cure fully or that such tips won't last. Everything will cure and everything will hold. If your gel cures completely in the alignment layer, it will cure in this application too. After curing, we remove the sticky layer and shape the nails. First, I take off the length, and then I adjust the parallels and remove any steps. All this can be done with either an Efile or a regular file, whichever is more comfortable for you. After shaping, we remove the dust, cleaning everything thoroughly. Remember, dust is our #1 enemy. Then we do the alignment with the same gel. We first coat the entire nail plate so that the next drop of gel distributes more easily. Place a drop near the cuticle and spread it across the nail plate, guiding it towards the free edge. You can use a thin brush to help with the distribution, making it easier and more precise. Don't forget to flip the client's hand upside down after distributing the gel to help it center in the apex area, ensuring the correct architecture is achieved. Well, the work is almost done. We cover it with a top coat. My top coat is made without UV filters and is non-sticky. We apply the top coat in a thin layer and cure it in the lamp for at least a minute and a half. You can even use a decorative top coat for a more interesting effect. If you want, you can also apply top coat to the undersides of the nails to make them shine too. After curing, you can file the edges a bit more to give them a sharper shape. And here we have our nail extensions, girls. I want to note right away that this process takes no more than 2 hours. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm super excited to hear your thoughts about this nail extension method. Let me know in the comments if you liked it and if you'll be trying it yourself. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more helpful and interesting manicure videos. See you next time, my dears. Your beauty is my joy. Bye-bye.